Hope you can all see my screen. Sam, can you see my screen? We also have Sam Cruz on our team joining us. She's going to help us with managing the chat and any other questions you have as a nonprofit. So like I said, we're going to give everybody just a few more minutes to join us and we'll get this party started. Thanks again for joining us. I hope you had your lunch and you are ready to go.
What's everybody eating for lunch today? Put it in the chat. Hopefully it's because I'm hungry right now. I opted to eat after this, so I'm excited to hear about all your delicious food. Welcome. And if you also want to put in the chat, where you're from and what your role is at your organization, that would be great.
We have just a couple more people going to join us, so I'm going to give them a little bit more time.
Maybe just put in the agenda screen. There you go.
Oh,
Hold on, somebody emailed us Zoom.
and a minute.
Sure. No.
All right. Ooh, Jessica from Family Crisis Centers, chicken and fries. That sounds delicious.
That sounds good. Is it like just random chicken or is it chicken from like Popeyes or that sounds delicious?
It does sound really, really
I
yummy.
know. Becca Castle, what's up, girl?
Oh, Frank Shimerja. I'm sure I just slaughtered that, and I'm sorry for that, Frank. But you are a grant writer with Family Housing Advisory Services. Thank you for coming. Oh, and G
Chicken
Wood.
salad sandwich, yum.
Oh my gosh, that does sound yummy.
Everyone, if you're just getting on, everyone's sharing their lunch today. And a kill pack.
Nicolette from Southwest Iowa Families, welcome.
Hi, Nicolette. How's everything going down in Clarinda?
Oh my goodness, Raylan had a shaved Brussels sprout panzanella.
That sounds good.
Amazing. She said it's very yummy.
Yum.
I know. All right, Connections Area Agency on Aging, Director of Community Engagement.
Freeze-dried apples. That doesn't
hungry?
sound very exciting, but very healthy.
It does sound like a good choice, but I would still be hungry.
I would be still hungry, yes. Hopefully you're going to be able to augment that later.
Lacey from Together, yogurt and grapes.
That sounds very healthy too.
Also really healthy decisions happening around
I know.
here.
I'm happy for your healthy decisions that y'all are making.
Elena Granson, Development Manager at New Visions, chicken salad. We got 2 for $2.
Elena, are you new?
It's my third day.
Oh my God.
welcome.
Listen to us all excited about Elena. Well, congratulations. I'm like, I don't recognize Elena's name.
Yeah, I was going to add that almost because I knew that this would be out of place for a very familiar organization.
Oh my God. Well, we're very excited for you to be here today.
Thank you. Me too.
Who's eating sourdough and honey?
Rachel Jensen, peanut butter and honey on sourdough. She's going to have a little bit more later.
Oh my God, that sounds delicious. Barley's probably. That sounds good.
And Anna Killpack and Amy Zimmerman from Lookout Village. They're going to go to lunch after this. They're joining our club. We're also having.
We're going to have lunch afterwards. Yeah, I have leftover mac and cheese that I made for my little grandbaby the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's smoked Gouda and truffle mac and cheese from Aldi.
Oh, all
from
right.
Aldi. And it is really good. So if you want gourmet mac and cheese for like $2.50, go to Aldi.
Ooh,
That
and
sounds yummy.
You know, it does sound yummy.
It's so good.
Aubrey from Connections is also going to lunch after this. All right.
Sounds good. All right.
All right,
we got
guys.
VGA grants. Oh, VGA grants. That's Vin Gupta and his group.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, hello.
I wonder if it's Sarah Gilbert.
We're just calling people out when they can jump on. Just a couple items, you guys. Again, this is being recorded, so you can always go
Smart craziness is being recorded right now.
nothing that any of this isn't new to anybody. And so we are being recorded. We will put this up for resource later. If you need, you can just, skip to about 10 minutes in and you don't have to worry about what everyone's having for lunch. But
It is kind of fun though.
It is a great time.
Don't forget to go to Aldi.
Yes.
Hit the aisle of shame for me because I haven't been there yet.
So we have myself, Katrina Tribal, and Donna Dostal, the president and CEO from the Community Foundation for Western Iowa. We also have Sam Cruz. She's over here. She is our community engagement manager, and she's going to be managing the chat. So while Donna and I are just chatting away, Sam will be monitoring that and interrupt us if needed. Also, feel free to unmute yourself and pop in if you need to as well. We're going to keep this pretty lax, pretty easy, and talk about Women's Fund granting.
Absolutely.
So with that, Donna, take it away.
I'm very excited to welcome you all today. We had a lot of questions about, how can we better fulfill the mission of the Women's Fund through the grant making process. That was the question that we had from you guys. How can your organization better fulfill that mission? How can you be successful in the priorities that are set out by the Women's Fund? And we're going to go through the priorities here in just a little bit. But first, I wanted to start with, who we are as the Community Foundation and what we do. There you go.
There it goes.
The Community Foundation for Western Iowa, we are a foundation that's a gathering of individual philanthropy through, and we really see ourselves as the foundation for philanthropy in our region. We focus on, like I said, folks wanting to be able to give back from an individual perspective, but also working with corporations, foundations to give back in the most impactful way, the way that really speaks to their heart, the way that the donor is motivated to do that. A lot of you might know that we subscribe to a motivational philosophy here. What is it that is helping the donor be most connected and speaks to their soul? And, really does create the change that they want to see in the world. So that is at the heart of everything that we do. And so to be able to do that, we have identified 3 major areas that are our strategic objectives. One is to grow a culture of philanthropy in our region, grow it through education, through all of our core values that we have at the Community Foundation, and in a way that makes sense for our donors. I like to see that.
Oh, okay.
I want to see who's on there. I want to see you. She
All right.
she made the window closed so I can see all the people. I was like, no, I want to see that. I like to see everybody's face. I can see Anna. She's smiling right there. She's like, I know Donna. She wants to see the people. I want to know that I'm talking to somebody out there. So thanks, Anna. Thanks for leaving your camera on, Anna. And I appreciate seeing both of you guys over there. So our first objective is really to create a culture of philanthropy throughout the entire region. How can we do that? Through education, through our core values here at the Community Foundation, and really being able to be the one that in the community folks come to, and when they have questions about philanthropy, when they are looking for answers on how to be philanthropic, but also what does it look like when organizations like yours are looking for those folks that want to be able to invest back in the community. How do we make those connections? And along that line is how do we, as the Community Foundation and as a philanthropic leader in the area, bring the right people together into the room to solve for community-wide outcomes that are desired by communities. Being able to ask the right questions. That's what we actually did to form the Women's Fund. We went around and we met with community leaders. We got leaders in the room and asked them to provide feedback. Honestly, Anna Kilpack on our, she helped us do that with the mental health fund, get the right people in the room to solve for X. Anna understands the process that we've gone through. We did that with the Women's Fund as well. And we've continued to do it with lots of different community-wide initiatives, whether it's housing, volunteerism, childcare, making sure that we invite the folks to the room, into the room, the ones that can really make the most difference. And then finally, the newest addition to our community, the Community Foundation's strategic objectives, is leading impact through education and through the expertise that we bring to the table. So what we'd like to be able to do and continue to do better is have the answers when folks come to us and have questions about what does it mean to lead through philanthropy? What does it even mean to have a donor advised fund, or to engage with individuals that have donor advised funds with the Community Foundation? What does that mean? How does someone start a charitable remainder trust? What does it mean or how can we do this if someone says, I want to give you a farm? We can help you with that. We can help you understand how to navigate those waters through the expertise that we bring to the table. So how can we help lead impact through the education and the expertise that we have at the Community Foundation? So those are our 3 strategic objectives, and everything that we do here every day is toward those meeting those objectives and how they relate back to our community. So what I'd like to be able to do as well is to share with you how the Women's Fund came to be and why it's so important that these funds are expelled in a way that makes sense to the objectives that we've set out for the fund, and then also in a way that is measurable and creates impact in our community. Back in 2018, when I started at the Community Foundation, it was about 2 seconds before there was someone sitting across from me saying, okay, now that you're here, what are you going to do about women's issues? And I said, well, I don't know. I literally said this to her. I said, I don't know. What should we do? And she goes, well, we don't have any childcare. So we got to figure out what that looks like. And we have, our moms don't know, our moms are isolated in our communities, and we have a lot of women's health issues and all the kind of things that are facing women in the 9 counties that we serve. And we realized very quickly that there was really no one doing anything concerted, no one had a concerted effort, a focused effort on investing in women and their success. And the research shows that when you invest in women and when we invest in women and we make sure that they're able to help raise themselves out of poverty, they're educated in a way that they can, support their families, because when we look at the face of poverty in our 9 counties, or even in our metro area, in the Omaha metro area, the Western Iowa, Eastern Nebraska area, the face of poverty is a single woman over the age of 25 or 30. She's at 25, 30 years old. She has 2 or more children, and she is living at or below the poverty level. And when you look at that demographic, 80% of those women are living below the poverty line at the 0 level. And so we have to figure out a better way to help raise women out of poverty and make sure that they can be successful. So that is why we started the Women's Fund of Western Iowa, for Southwest Iowa, and focused on 4 key areas. We can't do everything, but we do want to do some very impactful things. So the first thing that we focused on and settled on was education for women of all ages, primarily focusing on STEM and STEAM education, things that fall outside of the budget areas that our public schools can afford, and be able to invest in special projects, special learning initiatives that are going to help young women stay in the STEM and STEAM fields that are going to set them up for success later in life. We grant for those sort of things. And then what else can we grant for, and what are the initiatives that can raise women out of poverty after they're out of high school? Learning opportunities on how to be financially stable, how to lead better in our community. There's just lots of opportunities and lots of programming, that we can support that helps raise women out of poverty. And so if you can make a direct correlation to the programming that you're providing and it helps keep or raise women out of poverty, that is definitely something that we want to talk about. The second area is access to affordable, quality childcare. So like I said, it was about 2 seconds, maybe not even 1 second, after I accepted the position at the Community Foundation, that I had a community leader, the woman that was leading the Raise Me to Read program here in Western Iowa. You guys might know her. She's very well known in the community. Her name is Nancy Schultz. And she sat across from me and she said, okay, now that you're here, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, Nancy, what should we do? And she goes, well, you need to find out what is it that's really holding women back from being successful and helping them be out in the community and doing the things that they need to do, and, you know, being able to make money for their families and you know, raise themselves out of poverty. And access to affordable childcare was at the top of the list. And so since we started to grant from the Women's Fund back in 2020, after we started raising money into the fund, and probably before we were actually ready to grant, it became quite obvious that something that we needed to invest in immediately was access to childcare. During COVID, childcare facilities were closing down all across the region. Access for moms to be able to, you know, at the basic level of access, being able to put children in some sort of childcare so that they could continue to work. Some of the first grants that we made were women that were in treatment, being able to afford and access childcare when childcare was at a premium. There was just very little childcare available so that they could continue to do their drug and alcohol treatment. And so those were some of the first things that we granted for back in 2020. We continue to grant. That's probably the number one area that we have granted to this point, because building child care facilities is expensive. What we're finding, though, is maintaining and operating childcare is also expensive. And so access to affordable quality childcare is definitely one of the things that we see quite often. The third area is women's health, safety, and well-being. We primarily focus on mitigating and working through the challenges of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and then also women's health in a way that helps raise women up. We do not fund for reproductive health initiatives. There's other folks that do that. We do not fund those things. However, we do fund many things that help raise the awareness around domestic violence, sexual assault, particularly in our rural areas, because lots of times those issues run under the radar. It's very easy for those circumstances to not only be invisible in our communities, but then access to the programming that helps women get out of those situations is almost non-existent. And so if we can find ways to help women exit human trafficking, some of the data that we see in Western Iowa and where the centers of human trafficking are staggering. And so if we can figure out ways that we can invest in mitigating those situations, that's a great conversation to have. And then finally, aging in place and in community, which is an area that's of personal significance to me. But what we really found out when we were forming the Women's Fund back in 2018 and 2019 is that our communities are aging, which you guys probably know. But when we look at the demographics of our towns that are 10,000 people or less in the state of Iowa, and we look at who lives in our homes, who owns the houses in those towns, it's a single woman over the age of 65, and she lives in it. And so mom would rather, and this is, you guys have probably heard me say this, she would rather die in her house than move to a senior living facility. This is my own mom. I'm speaking from experience. She's 86, and we moved her to a place in West Omaha, and she's like, you just moved me here to die. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. But what we really want to make sure that we're doing is ensuring that our moms have access to food. They're not food insecure. They're not isolated. They're able to exercise and be healthy. They have brain health resources, and because all of those things that are going to help our moms stay healthy, because like I said, our moms outlive our dads, unfortunately. That's the reality. And they're living in towns where their support system is wrapped around them. They know the people that they go to church with. They know the people that are down at the VFW or at the diner across the street or at the market that they shop at, and they feel secure in that. So if mom's going to stay in town, maybe we can find a more healthy and safe place for her to live in. And then maybe we can also make sure she's not food insecure. And she feels safe and comfortable because then her family can live 20 minutes out of town and farm securely and know that mom is being taken care of. So that's why aging in place and community is also a focus area for the Women's Fund for Western Iowa, Southwest Iowa. So look, I'm going to turn it over to Katrina. Does anybody have any questions at all about the focus areas at this point? All right, I'm going to turn it to Katrina, and she's going to go through the application process.
I'm just
She's
gonna,
going to move it too because
I do have to move it because I have to
she's going to access
show
the
you a
screen.
couple things. So I just wanted to go over the application because our grant software looks a little bit different. And so if you're familiar with our grant software, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows because I know it's created some confusion in the past. And so you can access our grant software by going to our website and going to grant opportunities. It's there. We can also, if you registered for this, we'll also send you a follow-up email with that link as well, so you have direct access to it. But once you log into the grant software, this is the basic screen that you see. And so this has created some confusion because, as you can tell, it's blank. If you've never applied for a grant with us, you're not going to see much. And so you don't see where the application is. You have to click on See Opportunities right here in the left-hand corner. Once you click on that, that shows you all of our open, there it goes, all of our open grant opportunities. So that is where the Women's Fund of Southwest Iowa grant application lives. You can either preview the application and get an idea of it. If you aren't sure if you want to really start the application process, you can preview it in the PDF. My computer is going to be a little slow on that. But it does show you the PDF version, so you can print that off, look at the application, kind of come up with your answers ahead of time. And then once you are ready, oh, see, there it is. There's the application. And like I said, you just print that off. You don't have to hit the apply button right away if you're not ready, if you'd like to prepare. I'm a prepare kind of girl. So I like to look at things ahead of time, kind of get my thoughts together and then go back at it. Oh, my goodness. And so then, like I said, once you are ready, you would just click apply, go through that application. It's pretty, I wouldn't say, it's pretty easy.
It's user-friendly.
It's pretty that's the word I'm looking for. It's
User-friendly.
pretty user-friendly. And if you have any problems, any questions while you're filling out your application, please feel free to email me or give me a call, and I'm happy to go through that with you. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw that See Opportunities, because it's thrown us for a little bit of a loop. So the other part that Donna and I wanted to talk to you guys about is our measurement tool. So if you are awarded a grant, Women's Fund grant, we will be meeting probably a month or so afterwards to go over our evaluation tool. And so the evaluation tool is going to be a really great measurement tool for your organization and for your project to make sure you're going to get the outcomes that you want to see, to make sure that you're on track. It's really important for implementation and improvement efficiency to determine if your programs are being implemented as efficiently as possible, the impact that you're making, consequences, and your return on investment. So we do a step-by-step walkthrough of the measurement tool for you. After you've been awarded a Women's Fund grant, we're going to do the evaluation tool, and then there is a mid-year check-in that you will fill out within the grant software just to make sure, are things on track where you want to see them? Is there anything that's kind of missing or any challenges that you've met along the way?
Yeah, it's a great tool. And the reason that we invested in this, so we worked with Category 1 Consulting in Omaha to develop this tool for your benefit so that you can have the data that you need, not only to report to us, because it's important for you to report back to the funders, but then also to take that data, the successes that you've experienced, or even the challenges that you've faced and where you've had to pivot based on the data that you've been gathering, and take that to other funders. This data, so the tool you'll see is a data collection tool that enables you to run reports on how many people you serve, stuff like that, all relative to the key performance indicators that you will identify in the process. And what it does is it helps you understand what the impact is that you're trying to create through the programming that you're implementing or that you're sustaining in your organization. So and when you think about the impact that you're trying to create in your application process, that will totally relate back to the impact that you're trying to create in the measurement process. Okay. So it's a good thing that you are on this call today so that we can plant that seed as you're filling out your application to look down the road towards impact. So look past output. We'd like to be able to get $10,000 so that we can serve 50% more people. Okay, that's output. We want to have 100 more spots at our daycare. That's output. But if you have that output, if you have 100 more spots at your daycare, what is the outcome that you anticipate will happen? Okay, if we have 100 more spots, that means there's at least 100 or 75 more families that can come here and they have an affordable solution to childcare in our community. Okay, that's even better. That's fantastic. What is the impact though that 75 families in your community that don't have to leave Walnut, say for instance, you're in Walnut and 75 families can afford they can access your childcare facility and they don't have to leave Walnut to get childcare. What is the impact that would create? Okay, so that's what we would love for you to be able to create that theory of change. That's kind of a fun, term for it in the nonprofit management world. You're creating a theory of change by saying, if we have 100 more slots of daycare in our community, 75 families are going to find affordable quality childcare and they're not going to have to leave. And then on top of it, they're going to tell all their friends, maybe even tell their friends in Omaha, that we have this amazing childcare facility in Walnut. You really should move to Walnut and come live here. There's a house down the street that you can buy. There's fun things to do in our town. And then, oh, by the way, come move to Walnut. So that is ultimately the impact that you would be able to create by having 100 more spots. So can you see what we're trying to help you do? Think down the road. You don't have to, necessarily have that story fleshed out completely when you make an application to the Women's Fund, but this tool helps you tell that story. And then down the road, it's going to enable you to get even more funding to implement your programs and make them sustainable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've talked with a couple of nonprofits who have used the tool, and it's been extremely helpful. So that it makes them, like Donna was saying, it makes you think in a different way and approach your project in a different way of thinking. But it also gives you kind of more tangible information. So especially as you're moving forward with your project, we've had organizations use this tool to help them apply for other grants as they've moved along, because again, they're thinking about that long-term objective. So it's a really great, useful tool and kind of a gift from the Community Foundation to help you move your projects right along.
And you can wipe it clean and use it for another project that doesn't even have anything to do with the Women's Fund. You get to keep it for forever. It's our gift. You're welcome. No. All right.
Right. So now we have grant writing tips. So we wanted to just talk about some of the ideas or the things behind the Women's Fund and things to focus on. So of course, who's eligible to apply is any tax-exempt nonprofit organization, government entity, or church organization is able to apply for the Women's
Church
Fund.
organization with the charitable purpose behind their work. So that's the caveat. You just can't be a standalone church that people come on a Sunday and then they go back home and then they come back next Sunday. The charitable purpose is the caveat when that's the only way that Community Foundation can grant to a faith-based organization is if it's like a faith-based organization that has a childcare, or a faith-based organization that is doing community-based work, or has a mental health group or something like that. Maybe they host something for NAMI or something like that, and they're partnering to look at, she's smiling again. Anna just smiled because she knows NAMI too. And so, so those are things when it can't just be a church, but it has to have a charitable purpose.
Yep. 60% of the people impacted by your project or program must be women. That's an important one.
Because
It
it's
is
the
the
Women's Fund. Yeah, it's the Women's Fund.
So it's important.
Yeah.
And there are 9 counties that we support at the Community Foundation and with the Women's Fund. Do you know them all by the top of your head?
Yeah, that's written right here. Yeah, Cass, Fremont, Harrison, Mills, Monona. If you know someone in Monona County and you think they should apply, you should send them information because we've not had a grant application from Monona yet.
Monona.
Yeah, Montgomery, Page, Potawatomi, and Shelby counties are all eligible to apply for the Women's Fund.
Yeah, absolutely. Grant funds can be used to support projects and expenses that take place after our selection date. So that is mid-July. If you have a project happening before mid-July, that's gonna
It's got to spill over.
It's got to spill over. So that's one thing that we want to make sure folks are aware.
In other words, it means we can't pay for something that you did and is already done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our grant awards typically start at $10,000. We have awarded for less. So if you have a project that's not quite at $10,000 and you're not quite sure, put in the application.
Don't let that stop.
Yeah, don't let that stop you. And then we do also provide some multi-year funding.
Mhm. We've done multi-year funding for capital projects. We've done multi-year funding for support projects. So don't be afraid to say we need $25,000, but we can spend it over the next 2 years. Okay.
All right.
So with that, that's kind of the basic guidelines for the grant process, but we are very much open to talking about your specific questions, ideas, things you want to bounce off us, bounce off other folks in this group, in this room, or in this group that you're on right now. Ideas about collaboration, whatever you might have on your mind. Whoever unmutes first.
Did we freeze?
No, they're just. Did we freeze? Ooh, it's purple.
Now you're moving.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's just your computer.
Wait, no, you are.
Uh-oh.
Do people still hear you?
Can you guys hear us still?
Yes.
You can still
Okay.
hear us, but we're frozen.
All right.
Thanks, Frank.
Here, I'm gonna try and restart the video.
Sam is in here too, so she
I
can,
could always swap my computer for
well, either that or she can undo her,
Yeah.
so she can at least see, you can see Sam, because she's darling. Have you guys met Sam before? Sam, go ahead and turn on your camera. Sam is she is our community engagement manager, and so she manages Share Iowa. And Share Iowa is the free platform that you all can use. If you are not on Share Iowa, do you want to give a plug for Share Iowa? Why don't you do it?
Yeah, so Share Iowa.
Ooh, we're gonna mute.
you now.
We're gonna mute.
Is a free platform that we offer to nonprofits.
You're gonna have to unmute there. No.
Am I unmuted? I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh.
Can you
I
hear
don't-
Sam?
Here, you just give the spiel, Donna. I'm gonna mute.
Okay.
Now you talk.
Okay, you tell.
Okay, can you hear us now? That was unscripted. That was not good. So Share Iowa is a free platform that we provide for our nonprofit partners in the 9-county area. It started during COVID, as a matter of fact, when we started a partnership with Share Good, which is the actual platform, not the online platform provider. And so it enables you can turn our screen back on, or does it not working?
It's just not
Yeah,
working.
her computer broke. So what it does is it provides you a free platform for you to either get gifts in kind. Oh, that's all right. Gifts in kind through the Share platform, promote activities, promote your events, communicate directly with your constituents on raising wish list items. So you can set up wish lists with any number of different organizations, whether it's Amazon, Target, Walmart, anything like that. And you can list your wish list items, and folks can purchase them and have them sent directly to your organization. Very successful. We just did a luncheon or breakfast rise and what was it called? The nonprofit breakfast series on how to utilize wish lists. And then also there's 4 things. Oh, volunteerism. Put your volunteer opportunities on Share Iowa as well. So we provide that service, that platform to you. If you don't have a website, you can use Share Iowa as your website, as a matter of fact. And so we provide that to nonprofits in our area as a free service. It will always be free through the Community Foundation for Western Iowa. It is an initiative of the Community Foundation, so it lives under the umbrella of the Community Foundation. You will not ever have to pay for your thermometer or for the services or for the, you might have to pay to come and have some lunch or some breakfast over at 712 because it's darn good if you haven't been to it. But you won't have to pay for anything through Share Iowa through that portal. Okay. So
Is it frozen on me?
No.
no, I'm on here. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I can see myself. I don't think it's frozen. So if you have any questions about Share Iowa, please let us know. Okay, if you're not on Share Iowa, you should be. Do you have any questions about who wants to unmute and talk about the Women's Fund?
I have a
Hey,
question for you,
ladies.
Donna.
Okay, raise your hand. Frank, go ahead. You go first, Frank.
Okay, I have my question is, what would an average grant look like in this competition, and how many awards do you anticipate making?
So the average grant is $10,000. And that's usually where we start at 10,000. And we do have some applications that are more than that, but we usually hover between the $10,000 and $15,000 range. We normally grant to probably 10 or 12 organizations, just depending on the amount of applications that we have and the amount of money that we can grant. We look at the amount that we can grant because it is an endowment. We usually look at the 5% spending formula. We do have an expendable portion of the fund as well, and we try and augment that. Our target for granting every year is $100,000.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, who's next? I know there's someone else that asked.
Hi, ladies. It's Sandy sitting here with
Hi,
Nicolette.
Hi, Sandy.
Sandy's a
Hello.
former grantee of the Women's Fund.
Yes. So my question is it okay if we reapply for, we received funds for breastfeeding classes last go around? Is it okay if we reapply again?
Yes. And so what I would suggest too, Sandy, it is absolutely fine to reapply for programming that you've done in the past or that you've gotten a grant fund for in the past as well. What I would make sure that I would include in that kind of application is some of the things that you've learned from when you transition from that last grant award to where you are today and how you're trying to build on that. I think that would be very valuable information to provide.
Yeah.
The staff does not make our staff does not make the decisions. We have a committee that's made up of people that live in those counties, pretty much the entire 9 counties that we serve. There are folks that serve on our Women's Fund committee, and they make those grant application decisions. So it's very important that you include as much information as you can about lessons learned, particularly if you've applied in the past. Does that
Okay,
make
great.
sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What other questions do you all have?
Hey,
So,
Donna, this is
I have a
Audrey.
question. Oh, go ahead.
Do you have a standardized budget form for the grants, or do we just use what we have?
Do we have a budget form on there? We do not. I mean, we could certainly, if you don't have a budget form that you've used in the past, we can provide you something separately, and you can certainly get a hold of Katrina or Sam or me and get a hold of one of those guys. You're going to get a much quicker response than if you.
Very good. Thank
But
you.
we do have budget templates that we have as an organization that we could provide to you if you don't have one, but it is not a standard budget form that we have on the application.
Okay, very good. And another budget question. When
Yes.
you need our operating budget, is that for the entire agency or just for the program?
So the more important one is for the programming, but we do also ask for the agency budget. And I do believe there's a question that talks about what your funding, like your top funding sources are for your agency. but it's how you can relate it back to the programming is very important. We might
Okay.
even ask that qualifying question. If you provide us with that information in advance, that will be very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
And a quick tip, in regards to budgeting, sometimes we have organizations that provide their overall budget and then don't really go into specifics about their project. And one thing that the committee always looks at is what is your request versus your budget for the project. And so if there's not a real specific budget for the project, typically they're going to say, we need to go back and we need to know more about it. So please make sure when you're putting in your budget that you have both. You have both of your organizational budget, but also the budget for this specific project that you're applying for, because they do look at those numbers.
Right. And then also you some sort of a narrative that says, if I'm applying for this $10,000 and the budget for my project is $1 million, where are you going to get the rest of the funding for that? Does that make sense?
It does, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. All right, Anna.
Yes. First of all, I have to say hi, Sandy, and congratulations on winning the quilt. Hopefully they've connected with you about that. So anyway, I'm gonna switch hats now. That was a NAMI thing. Now I'm gonna switch hats to Lookout Village. So we are looking at potentially applying for Lookout Village. One question I have a couple questions. One, would it be so part of what we need, and probably the main thing that we need is equipment. We need new chairs for our space where they do their social events and things like that. We need safer chairs than what we have, quite honestly. Anyway, so that would be, about half of that 10,000. And we were thinking about asking for dollars for programming for the other part. I mean, is that a problem to kind of split that between equipment and programming?
I don't think it's a problem at all.
What's your
think you do have
recommendation?
yeah. And so in my opinion, the way that I feel like you would want to address that is demonstrate how that capital expense, which is a tool to be able to serve your constituents and the folks that you're serving better, relate that importance of having those safe tools there and the population that you're serving, the amount of folks that you're serving on a daily basis and stuff like that, and tell that story about the fact that you need those chairs to be able to help the folks that come in and you that you help at Lookout Village every day. So you have to be able to tell the story.
Yeah, you got to be able to show the impact of
Right.
providing those chairs, right?
Right.
And, yeah.
Yeah, because it's great to be able to say we need chairs, and because we have a nice facility here and we're hoping that people will come, you need to turn it around. You need to say, these are the folks that we're serving. They're coming here every day. Unfortunately, they're sitting on the ground and it's not safe. So we need some chairs. So yeah, does that make sense? And then of course, I would kind of lead with in my opinion, I would lead with the programming part.
With the programming, and that's part of the programming.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the equipment needed.
If you're going to do programming, you got to have a place for people to sit. Especially
And then
moms that are over the age of 65.
True.
If it's aging in place, if that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's because that's what Lookout Village, that's where they focus their
Yep.
energy.
Yep. That is what we're all about. So the other question I have is there a kind of a sweet spot in a range of percentage of overall project funding? So for instance, if the whole project is $30,000 and you're asking for 10,000, well, that's a third of your project budget, right?
Yeah.
Is that an issue, or
that would not be an issue to us? No.
Okay.
A lot of funders have, they do have stipulations around, we have to be the last money in, or you have to have 50% of your money down the road. Everything we look at, I can say, is from a case-by-case basis. And so, like if it's a capital project, we've been the first money in on some capital projects because we want to see them be successful and we know they're important. So to us, it's really more about the story and the impact that you're trying to create rather than the ratio of where your funding's coming from. We want to make sure you're successful though, right?
Yeah.
So if your project is $30,000 and you're asking us for 10, where do you anticipate getting the other 20 from?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a great question. Anybody else have any other questions? Do you think that who's from, I want to know if it's Sarah Gilbert. I just found out today that she's there.
It's not. It's Chrissy Made.
Well, you be sure and tell Sarah I said hi too, and it's nice to meet you, Chrissy.
You too. I'm sorry. I am at home with my kids and they're like running in and out and they have a bunch of neighborhood kids. So I figured if I go on mute and I do not show anything, that'll be fine. But it is not Sarah, and I will tell her that you called her out. So that would be
Tell her
wonderful.
I called her out. I just met with her husband this morning. That's why. And I didn't know he was there. If you don't know who Dan Gilbert is with Gilbert and Chittenden, they're amazing. They do strategic planning for nonprofits. They're fantastic. And then of
Awesome.
course Sarah works with VGA. So
Yep.
it's great.
I actually do have a question. Do
Yes.
you support like operations personnel, or is
Oh,
it more so like programming? Okay.
Yeah, but it has to all start with this. It has to all start with the mission and the work
Yep.
that's happening. We will absolutely support, the dollars that it takes to do it, because we know it's humans that do this work, right? But it all has to start with the project and the intended outcomes of this.
Okay, perfect.
start
And then the category 1, that was after. So if you get funded, then you'll move on to the category 1
That's
kind
correct.
of information. Okay.
That's
I was
right.
wondering if you had a rubric or anything that you were going to share after, but we're good.
No, yeah, it'll be all of that will be shared for the grantees.
Okay.
The grantees will be invited to a separate learning session on how to use that tool.
Okay, perfect.
And
Thank you.
so, yeah, there's other folks like Sandy and those guys from Southwest Iowa families. They have the tool as well. They've got it, even though they may not remember. It's been a while. You guys do have it. Yeah. So if you have any questions about the tool, you can, get with us separately.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, is there any other questions? I think there was someone else that had a question. Or not. Well, we're very excited for this session, for this granting session right now for the Women's Fund. The Women's Fund is definitely something that was important to me. Like I said, I have a mom that's 86 years old and she thinks she's at the Brant, which is literally a cruise ship on land. She's not just, so we don't want our moms to think that they're just waiting. We're putting them in a place to just wait to die. But that's just one piece of the Women's Fund. And like I said, there was just really nobody doing anything that was focused on women, the success of women in our communities. And we're honored to be able to provide at least some funding for the work that you're doing to help lift women up in our communities. Is there any other questions in chat or anything? Well, I've got both of the computers and I don't see any questions. So I hope that we answered your most burning questions. And if you do have anything separate from that, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Reach out to Katrina, to Sam, to me. And we all hope that y'all have a great lunch. And if there's anything else you need from us, don't hesitate to reach out. Go visit Share Iowa as well. Make sure you're signed up for that. Okay? Thanks, guys, so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.